Welcome to your City Commission study session and special meeting. Please turn off or silence all cell phones during the meeting. Meetings are televised every day on Channel 2 at 6 p.m. at midnight and available for viewing on YouTube. Study session, Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. First up, semi-annual report, convention, and visitors bureau.
Mayor and Commissioners, CB Manager Christy Lee will be presenting this item.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Good to be here again. Okay.
I know, I feel like it's been a while.
All right, this is kind of covering just January through September, October, so through the fourth quarter. And that, so some of the discussion points, I guess, the national tourism overview, Kansas, and some Leavenworth information tonight. So I guess I'll start with the national travel industry update. The travel forecast and that going forward is they're still remain saying that it's, I lost my pencil, there it is, okay. Still saying that it's remaining resilient as far as travel. And that this comes from the U.S. Travel Association news that they put out and update it quarterly as well. So they're saying basically despite the high inflation and that and the overall decline, that the travel sentiment is still good from all of the reports that they've been showing. I have to say, it's kind of all over the board right now. You go to one report and it says one thing and you go to the next site and it kind of says some other things. So we're just kind of, I'm trying to make the best of what I can of some of the information that's out there, because then you go to the meetings industry site, which is saying that yes, while it remains positive, that there's still headwinds basically due to a lot of the companies yet that are still restricting business travel, and they're making a lot of their decisions based on the interest rates and high inflation and labor shortages and that they're basically saying that the meetings industry really has to come back full force in order for the tourism industry, the hospitality industry to come back to 100%. So we're still kind of lagging behind basically in the meetings industry a little bit. And then with what's going on in the country right now, inflation I think is still eroding consumer confidence. And so like I said, there's just different reports, there's a ton of information out there, and so you just kind of have to wade through it, and I'm sure you're all kind of aware of that as well, but that's kind of what I was seeing and a lot of the reports that I was trying to make sense of in order to put this together for you. So Kansas tourism, we just got back from the Kansas the tourism conference for Kansas, and that was October 17th through the 20th in Wichita this year. And they just presented their tourism economics study for 2021. It was hot off the presses as of October in that. So their economic impact studies were good for 2021. Visitor spending increased 28% over 2020. Visitor spending jumped to $105 billion as attractions and events reopened for 2021. And visitation increased by 7%, rebounding to 33.7 million visitors to Kansas in 2021. So overall, 2021 was a good year for Kansas. It was really showing travel increasing and coming back. So visitor spending generated $1.3 billion in government revenues. State and local taxes alone tallied $700 million. And if you put that into perspective, basically each household in Kansas would need to be taxed an additional $613 to replace what the visitor-generated taxes do for the state of Kansas. So overall, it's coming back nicely. So hopefully we kind of continue in this trend and that going forward. Just some revisiting of the economic impacts in a different format a little bit, but 7.0 billion visitors spending for 2021, 1.5 billion visitor spending increase over 2020. Jobs actually did come back a little bit with 84,508 jobs supported by tourism industry in Kansas. And then again, the 700 million state and local taxes. So overall, it's coming back. And that's, so I really hope that it continues in that direction and down in the bottom there, it's 11.2 billion total economic impact of tourism, in Kansas for 2021. So pretty good numbers. Some of the Leavenworth statistics. Now, this is off of the new program that we've just been using for about the last year and a half or so. It's called Datify, and was able to pull some reports off of that. So basically, this is Leavenworth visitors from 50 miles out. As you can see, some of our main months that people are visiting are May, June, and September. Kind of all through the summer months, but mainly June is the best month, and I'm sure that has to do with people PCSing and coming in and leaving, and June is our big month. So, and then the map of the United States right over there to the side kind of shows demographics or spots where everybody is kind of coming from. And across the bottom are demographics of the most visitors, or the different levels there that we have, the age, the income, household size, education level, and ethnicity. So it kind of gives you an idea of who's visiting Leavenworth, and we use that in marketing and try and a lot of our marketing, we try and use this kind of information to figure out which magazines to place our ads in. So the next one, estimated visitors so far to Leavenworth as of October is right around 118,986 people. So that's, which is really, I'm glad that we've got this program now, because before I was using, the visitation to the C.W. Parker and using formulas in order to try and figure out how many people were actually visiting, whereas this is kind of it gives you that number based on their algorithms that they use for their programming. But then you can also see which top cities visit Leavenworth. And what I was kind of really happy to see is that basically the day trippers coming to Leavenworth is over 40%. So that's a really high number that I like to see, actually. And then you'll see the 2, the 3, the 4 days. And then on this one, it basically shows you that one-time visitors are about 27.6%, and repeat visitors are up to 72.4%. So that's also really good information. And so the 50 to 150 miles out, that's the 78% that are returning to coming back to Leavenworth to shop or to stay or whatever. So do the day trips. So a lot of good information from these reports that you can kind of look at and glean some good information from. Anybody have any questions on those?
No, that's good.
Okay. And then we could move into our occupancy and our transient guest tax. This again is January through actually September. The end of September is when I had this data done. But occupancy then for Leavenworth, we're at 61.4%, a little above the state. The state's average is 58.8. RevPAR, which is revenue per available room, is at $64.96 for Leavenworth. The state is obviously down just a little bit at 57. Average daily rate of our rooms here in Leavenworth are $105.77 versus the state's at $95.54. And so far, transient guest tax funds collected through September, $491,170.27.
Wow.
So it's going, we've rebounded basically from 2020, that's for sure. Website unique users are 78,000, and our page views are right at 165,000. So I don't know if I mentioned, I can't remember if I put it in here. Yeah, I did. We're going to be doing a refresh on the website, but I can get into that in a little bit. That's on one of my other slides, I think. So, top referrals to our website are travelks.com, which is the state's travel site. We are running several banner ads on that site, so that does account for all the referrals that we're getting through the state's through the state's website. Timeout.com is kind of a weird little travel site that is actually, people must be putting in Leavenworth, and we're getting referrals from that site. We don't advertise on it, but anyway, we are getting some referrals from that site. Talkify is our is our events calendar and that, so that's why we're getting referrals from that. And then the city's website, and then the I-70 Association's website. Those are our top ones. And just as a little overview of our marketing that we've been doing, so far we've distributed about 7,800 visitor guidebooks. That goes up every day, depending on inquiries and that. But we did have, so far this year, we've mailed out 502 direct requests for information on Leavenworth, which is really good, because I think last year we had, I should have put that down, I guess, but anyway, we were in the 300, I think, like 364 or something last year, and it's went up to 502 so far this year, so that's good. 426 welcome bags, and then over 2,400 mailed to visitor centers around the state. Some of our print advertising, we've placed about 26 different print ads, and that with a distribution of 3.6 million in publications. One of the publications was a Travel and Taste magazine that prints over 900,000 magazines. So I mean, they add up pretty quickly as far as publications. And again, our online advertising through the State Office of Tourism, and we're running a search engine marketing campaign for people to help them find our website and that's through an advertising agency there in Topeka. But impressions so far, 765,000 impressions for those two campaigns. We still are doing our e-newsletter calendar and that we email out twice a month to over 1,200 subscribers, and our open rate is at 22%, which is pretty good. I'd like to see that a little higher, so hopefully we can up that in the next few months. Social media, our Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram have over 8,100 followers, and that's also an increase of about 4.5% over last year at this time. So we are currently running an ad on Facebook. It's to Fall in Love with Leavenworth, and it's reached over 3,000 people so far, and we've had 150 through. You saw it? Okay, it's had 150 through click-throughs to our website from the ad, and it's going to run through November 13th. So starting November 15th, then we'll run a holiday-looking ad then through right before Christmas. And that, so, and then just billboards. We've run a couple of billboard campaigns. We ran one with 2 different boards for 4 months, June, July, August, and September, and we'll start running another campaign November, December this year for the holiday season. So some of our partners, again, we work with a lot of different associations across the state. We work with Main Street, obviously, here locally in that. We work with the Chamber and that locally as well. Just a couple of the projects that the Main Street's done. I'm on their design committee in that. So the benches that are over in the Pakia Park across the street were part of the design committee putting it together. And we finally, they look great.
They look
if you haven't,
I ran over there.
Did you? Okay. Yeah. And then the Passageway program, the paints, the murals that are going up all over town, that's part of the design committee as well. And Main Street has, Main Street's just been an awesome, they've just done an awesome job with coordinating all of that in the office and that. So it's been good working with them. And then our I-70 Association and all our associations that we work with, I-70, Sports Kansas, Meet Kansas, Tour Kansas, KCRDA. There's got to be 10 of them. Northeast Kansas Association. So again, they all have Facebook pages, social media sites that they're advertising all of us on. The I-70 Association, especially in the Kansas City Regional Destination Alliance, we all kind of pool our money, and we've actually, every year we try and bring in travel writers that will go to each one of the communities and that. So we sponsor travel writers, newsletters, again, blogging, all of that with these different partnerships that we work with and that. So it all helps spread the news about our area and what all there is to see and do. So just some other updates, in-house updates. Our Tourism Services and Public Relations Coordinator, Jennifer Davern, started with us on July 21st, and excited to have her on board. I think her background is in communication and that, so it's going to be good working with her going forward in that. So looking forward to that. And we are back up to full staff. We did lose Heidi, who had been with us for over a couple of years, and that we shared her between HR and us. And her and her husband got transferred to Hawaii, but we have been able to hire Sharon Barger, and she's our new part-time person there in the office, which I think is going to work out really well as well. So glad that we're fully staffed in that, so that's good. We are working through we will hopefully start working on a refresh and a redesign of the website, and that through Municode. They've got some new functions and upgrades that we'll be able to incorporate into the website and that, so I'm looking forward to starting that process. Waiting for them to actually get back to us now with a start date. I was out of the office for a couple of different conferences in October, they didn't really want to start the refresh until they knew we were gonna be in the office full time for, 30 days at least. So anyway, as soon as they get to us, back with a date, we'll start working on that refresh. And then we're also, tomorrow, in fact, I'm gonna run up to St. Joe with the visitor's guidebook, and that we're working with them and design-wise and layout and all that kind of stuff. So I have a meeting with them in the morning and go over some adjustments on it and that. So it's, hopefully we'll get the proof back at the end of November, first part of December, and then it would go to print mid-December and hopefully be delivered to us about mid-January then from the printers. Other updates, just our transient guest tax that are grants that we have every year. Those are the results from the August 1st one that we just had. We had some rollover from some of the other, I've got a spreadsheet and a financial spreadsheet that keeps track of when they don't use the full grant or that, some of that funding rolls over to the next round. And so we do sometimes have a little bit of a rollover in that, and we're able to fund a little bit more. But First City Film Festival was at $4,000, Richard Allen Cultural Center at $4,000, the Leavenworth County Historical Society at $4,000, the Heritage Center for $29,000, DART $1,000, and the Miss Kansas Volunteer Pageant at $5,000. So next round will be February 1st. And hopefully, we've been getting a lot of applications and that, so I think it's just gonna continue to grow going forward, which is what we wanted, so.
Yeah, that's good.
Conferences, we've hosted the Kansas Dialogue Conference in August, and they had over 75 people that participated in the 3D event, so that was really a good, another good meeting that we were hosting here. A list of our group tours that we've had this year. I mean, we're not back up to our 30 yet, a year that we're aiming to try and get 30, but anyway, those are the ones that we have hosted. Tours are a little bit down yet, and I think that's gonna take a couple of years to come back full force after what's going on in the country, but anyway, calendar of events, as always, if you are wanting to know about anything going on in the area or in the community, take a look at our calendar of events. We really try and go out there and search, and hopefully a lot of people will just submit their events to us, but that doesn't happen all the time, so that is part of Shannon's job, as she does go out on Facebook and she hits some of these other sites and continually tries to search for events in the area that we can add to our calendar to make it more complete for people to find out what's going on in the area. So check out our calendar of events if you have any questions on events that are coming up in the area. And then those were just some of the trade shows and conferences that I've attended this year. Either myself or Jennifer went to the Veterans Resource Fair that was just held out at the VA in September, which I think was, we didn't have a lot of foot traffic, but there were a lot of vendors there, I think, and I think they're gonna hold that annually as well. It was, I think, a good first one that they held, so. Just some of the other conferences, Kansas Tourism Conference, KSA Meeting Showcase in Topeka in December, and then we'll start it all over again. So that's kind of my report for this evening. If anybody had any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything or.
Have we ever held any conferences at the community center? Any
That's where that dialogue conference was held, as at the community center.
Uh-huh.
And last year we hosted the Byways Conference. That was in May, and that was the Heartland Byways Conference. There was about 120 people that attended that from the 3 area, I think Nebraska. Well, they had a lot of different states that came in for that, but there was about 120 at that conference.
Okay.
So yes, that's our aim, is I'm trying to work with Tammy and trying to figure out when we can host some, and it's a very competitive
Yeah,
market.
I got you. I got you.
Didn't,
So-
now maybe they just rented the space, but was that a couple years ago, that photography?
Yes, yep, and in fact, yeah, we were just, Melissa and I were just talking about her today, and
That
that,
was a
because I guess
couple
she's
hundred
local
people.
and can take pictures and stuff. What's that?
Wasn't that a couple hundred people?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
She had a good turnout for that as well. Yep. Yep. Anything else?
No.
No.
Great job.
Good
Well,
report.
thank you very
Thank you,
much.
I'm glad
Happy
they came.
holidays.
Yeah,
Happy holidays.
They all come out.
Yeah.
Quick. Okay, next up, semi-annual report, Leavenworth Public Library.
We have Library Director Matt Noyanen. Did I do that correctly?
Noyanen.
Okay,
Perfect.
joining us.
Yep. I would like to, I didn't get these prepared in time to make
So,
the distribution at the meeting. I was actually waiting for a couple of statistics to come in to include on the report.
Thank you.
like your tie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's from a Van Gogh exhibit in Denver. It's some of it that had a lot of his really early work.
It
so-
looks like Van Gogh, yeah. It's cool.
Well, thank you all very much for having me here this evening. The report you have in front of you includes some information, general update, some information about our planning, data about the library, and a couple of the actual questions that were asked on the surveys that and the interviews that were conducted as we prepared our strategic plan. We've gone through the sort of last phase of upgrading all of our equipment. The last and the oldest machines in the library were replaced in September, and a primary objective of our plan is to try to make sure that all of our machines are around 5 years old or younger. The machines we replaced were not the kind that need the most memory. They don't need the office equipment or some of suites and some of the other tools that most of our patrons use on our public terminals and staff uses. So we let some of these sit around for about 9 years before we replace them. Catalog terminals, circulation terminals. So we kept those in service for as long as possible. Program attendance at the library has been extraordinary. We reestablished our Wiggle Workshop, which is a preschool program that we did and had to basically turn into 3 different programs a week to keep up with the traffic. And of course, that all went away when COVID decided to barge in. We started it in August, and attendance has averaged 40 children, and that's every Friday. We did a Harry Potter program. We decided to try to expand our programming into family events, not just this is for preschoolers, this is for elementary, this is for teens, bring the whole family. So we did a Harry Potter event that drew 150 people last spring. We thought that was pretty exciting. Now on October 8th, we had a haunted library, and 318 people came to the library for that event, which completely overwhelmed our staff. We planned for about 150. We got double that number. So we had a meeting there after and went, all right, from now on, let's think much bigger, because we believe it's going to be very successful. It just 150 to 300 in the first 2 programs we did is really, really great. We're actually thinking of getting walkie-talkies so that we can talk through the libraries, because they were trying to do one thing and someone was asking questions, and there literally weren't enough people to run across and get something. So it was a lesson learned, and it's something our staff, I think, responded to really well in the moment. With that crush of people completely unexpected, I thought they handled it really well. Right now, we have a trick or read program that's going on. Kids come to the library to trick or treat, and they get a free book. On Friday, we had 65 people at our murder mystery, which was a lot of people dressed up. It was set in the golden age of Hollywood, so there were people with glamour dresses and hats, and a professional group of actors came out and did a murder mystery for 2 hours, so that was a huge success. Another thing we learned while our parking lot was being repaired is that door on 4th and Spruce has always been closed, because the concern was with no one there to keep an eye on it, people could, roll carts of books out or whatever. We didn't have that happen, so we're just going to keep it open all the time. It just makes sense now to keep that as, now, the one thing keep forgetting to do is buy a door counter. Because usually we keep track of all of our people that come in the main door, so it looks like every month fewer and fewer people coming in, well, more and more of them are using the other door. So we don't have the
Using that
reader
parking
over
lot,
there.
too.
Yes. So we need to get a reader over there so that our visitation numbers reflect the real number.
That's great.
The strategic planning was a major effort. We hired a company from Colorado called S Brand Solutions to come in and help us through this process. They conducted online survey. They interviewed about 20 people who were selected to represent a cross-section of Leavenworth's population, high school kids, retirees, male, female, organizations, kind of ran the whole gamut to try to get the widest variety of opinion and the most different segments of our population represented in that. Now, we're holding on to the actual approved plan until Friday. I'm sure the whole town can't wait for us to unveil the plan. But that's one of the things we really want to do Friday is share the final report with all the people that come to our event. Now, I noticed when I read it, I was part of the city's comprehensive planning public group, and I have a copy of the plan, of course, and when I went through that comprehensive plan, I saw several points of intersection between our strategic plan goals and some of the city's goals. So it's nice to know that there are certainly ways that we can cooperate and collaborate on efforts in the future. That's always been the way that it's worked here. I think the most current sign of that is our new parking lot, which is deeply appreciated. Everything's there. They just have to do the striping now. But we've heard plenty of compliments about it, and everybody really likes it. So thank you, City of Leavenworth, for again coming through on supporting the library in a very visible, very important way. The kind of projects that you have supported just since I've been there, the new windows and everything on the atrium, the zoning, air conditioning, the new parking lot, renovated the restroom. So that long-term partnership is something that I've really happy to be part of. In 1902, that's why we're celebrating the 120th birthday, but that's when basically the library itself was born in the Carnegie Building. And that's also when the taxpayers approved support for the library. So when the commission, I think it was $5,000 as the first year's budget. That's the year that Andrew Carnegie's check was cashed. It was over $1 million in today's economy. It was stimulated by groups like the Saturday Club and the Whittier Club. So there were private people locally, there were private people nationally, Carnegie, there were voters, there were the commission. So it's always been a partnership. The opening of the new library on 5th and Spruce was, again, a private donor gave the building. The expansion, I think they own the property there too. So this is just a great situation, a great time. We're hoping to continue those partnerships and look at that plan and see what we can do to make the library as vital for the next 120 years as it has been for the first. Library use comparisons. I know listening to your convention and visitors person, Christy, there, we're experiencing the same trend. We are not fully recovered from COVID, but every single category of use is up. For the first quarter, from January to September of last year compared to this year, Circ's up 9%, visits are up 45%, active card holders up 18%. Computer users up 75%, wireless network users up 88%, and private use organizations, we have 2 meeting rooms, a East Room and the On Room, that organizations can book, 150% more people using that space, which is excellent. Just for this year alone, in our own use, the third quarter compared to the first quarter, Circ's up 12%, active cards up 14%, computer users up almost 12%, e-content users up 7%. So even though we've had a small drop this year through the quarter in the meeting in the number of users our meeting room compared to last year, it's really up very well. I'm also kind of a competitive person. I like to see, are the other libraries in the area blowing our doors off or not? And if they are, then what are they doing that we're not? How can we steal their ideas and get get our circulation pumped up to the same volume as theirs. Now, Baser is the only library that's circulating more items for the first 3 quarters, but these numbers don't include use of electronic data like Hoopla, like Canopy, like Overdrive, Libby, and I know by far that our library blows everybody away with the number of people who use those resources. We have thousands and thousands of items going on every year that people borrow online. They never come to the library. They need a library card to access them. But I know for a fact that our marketing and our promotion of this has really reflected well on its use. We continually add new choices. Next year, we're going to add a free streaming music service called Freegal. Unlimited access for $2,000 for the entire year. If you put this on at home, you can just stream music 24 hours a day if you want, anywhere. Freegal, Freegal. We budgeted for that, and we're going to run that and break that out next year. Again, we look at it as all the digital stuff is just like our collection. So if you had popular cookbooks, you buy more cookbooks. You have popular Westerns, you buy more Westerns. And since digital is super important and really popular, we are always looking for sources of that. It's hard for a library because a lot of those digital things, Netflix, Hulu, they aren't for libraries. They won't let us do that. It's all private. So the number of choices we have is limited, but we're always exploring them. There are several others that are offered through Overdrive that have music and documentaries and how-to. So we're looking at maybe bringing those online down the road so that, again, more and more people can have more and more access to more and more digital data. Our fiscal responsibility is something I think that all you hear is that, government always wastes money. I wouldn't think that that's the case with the library. I can't speak for any other levels of government. Of course, this room never does. But I think the general, and I've heard it my entire career, government, just wastes money, libraries are going away, what are we doing with libraries? If you look at, our approach has always been to dedicate as much money as we can on an annual basis towards direct public services. So our materials budget in the last 11 years has gone up 70%, an annual growth of 6%. Services and supplies has grown 27%. Personnel, of course, but the average growth of personnel is 3% a year, which I don't think is out of line with what most agencies, organizations try to do to help make sure that you have talented people on staff, that you get the people with the background you need, the training you need, the attitude you want, and you try to keep them. And I wanted to also say, even though it looks like that services and supplies numbers grew quite a bit, I broke it down by the various categories. The only one that increased significantly was computers, and that's because we hired out our tech support a couple of years ago. So instead of paying that comes out of our general fund now. But overall, our continuing education dropped by 36%, which looks like, well, geez, you're not training anybody. What we're doing is taking advantage of online training. Instead of sending people to overnight conferences or spending travel, there's so many opportunities now, especially in the library world, to do online training. That's a huge savings, and it's more readily accessible, and covers a lot wider range of subjects than a KLA session, for example, or an American Library Association conference. Our utilities, we've dropped by 11%. A lot of that is thanks to the city, because when you replaced those air conditioners, we have those zoning now in our different areas that we can cool with a smaller, a lot more energy efficient. I think, please don't hold me to this, but I'd have to go back and look. But I'm pretty sure that when those were installed, I think in June or July of one year, our next month's electric bill dropped by like 15%. So this helps us spend less money. Don't write checks to the electric company, buy books with it. Our insurance dropped 28%. I'm always shopping, always looking for better deals for the library. Spending public money wisely has always been a huge issue for me, again, because of that. I work in government, and I don't want anybody to say that I'm the guy that's wasting everyone's tax dollars. And there are always ways that you can find competitive prices for just about any service in these categories. Our supplies have grown only about 2%. So the total, again, the total 27% growth in that, about 30,000 of that is a contract with one company to do all of our network service, and they've been doing a bang-up job. They have a team that's available 24/7. They have a range of skills that no one person can possibly have. We buy our hardware from them. They support all of our software, not just Windows, but all of the crazy little library software that no one else in the world had heard of or wanted to touch. We have new calendar software that allows people to go online and book their own rooms. When we have trouble with that, this company will help us with it. We have a software system that when people sign up to use the internet, it keeps track of how long they're there. It helps them manage their print jobs. They help us with that. Every other company we interviewed about doing our tech support said, no, we don't. If it's not Windows, we don't want to touch it. So we're very lucky to have a local company right in St. Joe that will deal with all of the strange little packages that libraries have that virtually nobody else uses. We also increased our program budgets. If you look at admin expenses, look at that huge jump. 10,000 of that's for programs. So admin expenses sounds like, we're taking expensive junkets somewhere to golf, but half of that was grown our program budget from $2,000 to $10,000 in the last 10 years. And the results you see in our program attendance.
So why is the program expenses in with the administrative expenses? Wouldn't those be separate?
Well, that's the large category they're in, yes. We have a program line item for adult, we have a program line item for children. I just wanted to show you the broad category, so
Okay.
that falls under admin expenses.
Got it.
But yeah, we keep track of those separately.
That's what I thought.
And the survey questions, again, I thought you might be interested when we conducted the survey. What was on there? If you did our online survey, you answered all these questions, hopefully answered all of them. And then these are the suggested list of interview questions. Again, 20 people were selected for the consultants to talk with for about an hour and a half. And the nature of those interviews, it was not strictly a set of questions, it was more of a conversation. So as they asked and began having conversations with people, suggestions or ideas or comments that all of the people who were responding individually had led them into those areas. So it was a very productive session, very productive data. The one single item that was mentioned the most often was the library facility. It's dark, the carpets are old. I mean, there are just different comments. Well, you don't have any quiet spaces. We'd like a couple of smaller meeting rooms so we can get together and do things. So that was the number one response. I believe 101 different times it was mentioned through the survey.
Interesting.
The items that keep no matter what, the books, children's programs, and gathering spaces were the most important, top three. If people could wave a magic wand, 85 said they want improved programs. So we took that seriously. We're already growing programs. We're developing different ones. Improved facility was number two. The three favorite things were our collections, our staff, and our programs. So it's kind of funny that people love our programs, but they want to see different. So it looks contradictory, but it's not. It's really that we love the library's programs. Can't you do more? Can't you do different ones? Can't you have programs for this group or that group? The least favorite things, unfortunately, are facility. The lighting, quiet spaces, bathrooms, furniture, carpet, and ventilation were the sort of subcategories. And they talked about the hours reduction, and I'm pretty sure that has to do with COVID. We were shut down. We had reduced hours. We're now fully restored. All of our hours are back. We've got Sundays back in August, so all of those hours have been brought back online. And the best opportunities question, the top answer was a community hub. So I think people that answered our survey want to see the library as not just a place to get books, not just a place to borrow DVDs, but an activity center, a place where the community can meet, can go to programs, can work together, can socialize together. They want us to grow our collections, and as you can see from the money we have increased, 75% over 10 years to our book budget. That's something that we're always have been doing, but it just tells you that we can never do enough, that people want to see more material, they want to see wider variety of material. And outreach and partnerships was the number three, and we've been, again, focusing on that. We did start a outreach program to preschools 17, maybe 2018. That all went away when COVID hit. So we're reestablishing those connections. We've been sending I've visited schools, our assistant directors visited schools, our youth services people are now back out at the daycares, and we're trying to grow that outreach. We work with the schools every fall on a library card drive. So there are already things that we have in place, and when you get your copy of the full plan, you'll see some of the real things and some of the real answers that we've been talking about, and we'll be able to, I think, put into effect and again, continue to improve library service to the community and grow it into something different. There are many milestones in the way that people use libraries. Nobody had computers. Now everyone has them. What was an ebook in 1990? Nobody quite knew. Streaming video, what's that all about? I mean, and if you go far enough back, libraries used to have albums and 8-tracks. So there's always a constant desire to adapt, adopt, and improve media, services, facilities, access, you name it. And that's kind of been our guiding principle, is to stay relevant, to stay active, and to provide the bang for the buck that the taxpayers here in Leavenworth deserve, and that you guys probably, I'm sure, want to know that we're not just squirreling it away somewhere. So, does anybody have any questions?
Thank you for your dedication.
Yeah.
How long have you been here now?
8 years. 8 years in March, so
Thank you.
Matt, you do a great job.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great staff.
And not just me, our staff.
I know, I said
Yeah,
staff and board.
it takes a village, as they say.
Yeah.
It takes a team. Yeah.
Work together.
Some of the best ideas we have are from frontline staff. Why don't we just keep this door open all the time? I don't know, why don't we? It was just such a simple
I drive by
thing.
there and I like to see those cars in that parking lot, because there never was cars over
Right.
there, and it's like, and I went in that door,
Right.
you know, and it's like, yeah, so that's nice.
It's a lot more convenient for parents who bring in their kids. You go right in that door, there's the room for the program.
Yeah.
Instead of walking all the way through the library and trying to keep one kid from running over here, another one from running over there.
Yeah.
It's also, when people have used that door, they've kind of discovered our programs. Where's all the noise? Oh, I didn't know you guys did that, so I'll bring my kids next time. So it was kind of a cheap and easy marketing tool when people began walking by those activities.
How many meeting rooms do you currently have?
We have the Yon room, which is the large one. That's when the first door on the right when you come in. And the East room was part of the addition that was put on the library in 2010, I think. That's on the other side of the building in the addition. That's about half the size. And most of that we use, that's where most of our children's programs take place, except for the big ones like Wiggle Workshop. If we try to put that many kids in that small space, there'd be we'd like a little mosh pit. So some of the bigger kids programs we have to have, and the bigger programs like the Harry Potter program, we use the whole library. The murder mystery, use the whole library. So there are ways that we can use all the space in the library. When 318 people show up, you're not going to cram them in either of those meeting rooms. So it really does help. It also lets people see part of the library that maybe they haven't been before. I came in here with my kids all the time, and now I have a chance to wander around and see what's in over here for me. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? No? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, looks like we need a special meeting here.
I'm impressed.
So I just need a motion, I guess, to open the special meeting.
I moved to open the special meeting.
Second.
Begin voting, Commissioner Hewitt. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so it's first consideration ordinance franchise agreement with Unite Private Networks.
Public Works Director Brian Faust will be presenting this item.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for taking this item this evening. The issue is to consider a franchise agreement with Unite Private Networks LLC. The City of Leavenworth was notified that Unite Private Networks is planning to provide fiber-based communication services for USD 453. The intent is to connect the schools and other district facilities on one network. As required by the Kansas statutes, an ordinance is required to grant a franchise agreement. The agreement has been reviewed by both city staff and our city attorney. And there was a number of comments from our city attorney which Unite did incorporate into the final agreement. Highlights include Unite would remit a franchise fee of 5% of gross receipts. They'll pay a one-time application fee of $1,000 to cover our costs. They are required to obtain any necessary permits for construction. They can locate on the public right-of-way, and they will be part of the one-call system. Quite honestly, from staff's perspective, that was a biggie for us. When you call 1-800-LOCATE, if they're not on the system, you don't know they're there. They don't mark the utilities, and so it's easy to find them, and cutting fiber is very expensive. And so that was a key point to us in the agreement, that they be on the one-call system. City staff is currently reviewing the plans for the project, and there are areas where Unite will need to be aerial and attached to Evergy poles. And so they're working with Evergy on getting an agreement with Evergy to do that. So the action this evening is to place on first consideration ordinance a telecommunications contract franchise agreement with Unite Private Networks LLC. And what we have up on the screen is there's two phases of the project. This is the first phase. So you can see it's a lot of fiber installation that goes all across the city. And then this is the second phase of the project. And again, it's covers a lot of territory, but it will connect all the schools to the district offices. Should be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah. Now, AT&T is laying all this fiber too. Do you see any drawbacks with this?
Yeah, no question.
No?
The main drawback for us is you get a tremendous amount of different utilities within the limited public right-of-way.
Yeah.
And so if we have a water main, or the Waterworks has a water main break, or if we have a sewer that's backed up that we need to excavate for, there's a lot of things in the way. And so if you have AT&T fiber, you have Google fiber, or a Kansas fiber network, and Unite Private, you know, you add all those different things in there, it's a mess. But telecommunications can locate in the public right-of-way.
I mean, it'd be almost like it would, if they, I'm ignorant on this, so I'm just thinking about it, but putting everything in one channel, you know, doing it all in one channel, but.
And it's tough, in some communities, and I think we'll get there, is having a right-of-way corridor plan where you actually define where the various utilities can go. So
That would
you
be
have
good.
80 foot of right-of-way, the outside 10 feet is for fiber, and the next 10 feet is for water, the next 10 feet is for sewer. We can get that in new areas that we're developing, but in kind of in the older parts of the community, that's tougher.
Yeah, okay.
Is there some kind of requirement for how rapidly they respond, you know, the different utilities? Let's say you get a water main break, and you've got to get a hold of, you know, 3 other utilities to tell them, hey, get out here. We need you to turn this off or move this.
Actually, there's an emergency locate, so if there's a water main break or something that needs immediate attention, you call it as emergency locate, and we've had real good luck with them being out there within a few hours.
Yeah.
If you want to dig, if you got a project coming up and you say, hey, I'm going to be digging here, you need to give them at least 3 days notice. And then if they don't mark it, you have to call it back and you give them additional days. And sometimes that can be kind of frustrating. We have not worked with Unite before, but they have been receptive when we've talked to them over the phone. I mean, I think they'll do what the other utilities do and locate as they should.
Do you know other people that have worked with Unite at all?
Actually, no, I don't.
No?
Are they going to do the same thing in Lansing? Do you know?
I would think that Lansing would probably be doing the same type of thing. I do not know if Unite is involved with that one.
Yeah.
This is something that's going on all over then, it's not just.
I mean, and just prior to the start of the Second and Chestnut project, the county ended up running fiber from a number of their buildings down Second Street and over to Limit. I mean, there was a lot of projects. I mean, that's another one that's, like I said, there's a tremendous number of utilities within the right of way, a lot of fiber right now.
I think it's important to note, Commission, with this project in particular, though, it is limited in scope. So this is not a citywide fiber plan that would look like a much more extensive map. This is really for USD 453 school district properties for that connection.
So just hooking one school to the other. Yeah.
But that's, with that franchise agreement, there's nothing that says they can't expand it.
In time.
So right now, they've come into, hey, we're going to be connecting the schools with other district buildings. I don't know what their business plan is. I mean, there is a possibility in the future they could provide services to others.
So most likely they will.
Yeah.
They'll
Okay.
try to compete with the
Yeah.
ones that exist already.
Okay, then it looks like we just need a consensus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
we still have time to come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Approve, so. It'd be good to hear more information about the company. I don't know, it just seems like it's going on everywhere, so it's kind
Yeah,
of crazy
It is.
that we don't have, I mean, because our city's so old, I understand why we don't have a plan for all of this, but we don't want something that's gonna cause us a lot of headache in the future, you know, with this stuff going everywhere.
And that's good. This is just focusing on this, the school district. For
Right now.
For now, and see what happens.
And I could interject, I mean, the city is looking at putting fiber in at some point to connect our traffic signals.
Yes,
So-
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
When we do the 4th Street project, we're actually putting in empty conduits on the 4th Street project that we can pull fiber in the future, that we can connect the signals along there. Well, we've got it torn up, let's put the conduit in the ground.
Might as
Exactly,
well
that's a
do
good, good idea.
It's great.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Okay. Yes, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Okay, so now it looks like I just need a motion to close the special meeting.
I move we adjourn the special meeting.
Second.
Begin voting. Commissioner Bell?
Aye.
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 Okay. Okay, did anyone have anything else to just add before we adjourn?
I have
Penny.
2 quick comments.
Penny?
Okay.
There's no regular meeting for the city commission next week, November 8th, due to election day. And registration is open for the holiday parade and mayor's tree lighting on Friday, November 18th. That is on the city's website under Parks and Recreation. Just 2 quick updates.
Okay.
I see that the city, not the city, but the Veterans Parade Committee contacted us about whether we're gonna ride in the parade, so I'm assuming that's all been taken care of.
You gonna be in it?
Yeah, I think we're gonna
Yeah.
ride with the chief.
I'm riding
You
on
gonna
a
be in it?
horse.
You're gonna ride a horse? Well, good.
Probably
That's
the
awesome.
pony, since it's gonna be my side.
That is awesome.
I'll be walking with the folks I've been walking with for as long as I've been here.
Okay.
I'll be with the Knights of Columbus.
Knights of Columbus, good,
Good.
good. Okay,
Yeah.
as long as they know that.
Yeah.
Yes, They have.
Yeah, I wrote them back and told them, hey, I appreciate the offer.
God bless and be safe and enjoy this beautiful warm weather while we still have it.
I know. Okay, yeah. No, I
Cold
don't have
is
anything.
coming.
I know. So, yeah, just enjoy the rest of the week. So I just need a motion.
So move.
Second?
Second, sorry.
Okay, begin voting.
Done.
Commissioner Hengler?
Aye. We already adjourned.
We don't need,
Adjourn-
no,
well,
we adjourned
just-
from the other.
Yeah.
Oh,
Aye.
Aye.